Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati, of course, are the four teams in the 2021 college football playoff. But what would an 8-team, 12-team, and 16-team playoff look like this college football season? Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We discuss, debate, and analyze the game we all love each and every day with you. Please smash the like button, subscribe, tell people that we are here talking college football with all of you every day. All right. The 8-team playoff could be structured basically two ways. There are a number of ways beyond that, but two basic ways in which the 8 teams could be founded. Number one would be just to use the college football playoff rankings. So if this was the 2021 college football playoff based on the committee's rankings, it would look like this: Alabama 1, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati, as it currently stands. Then Notre Dame, Ohio State, Baylor, and Ole Miss would be added as teams 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you would have 3 teams from the SEC, 2 from the Big 10, 1 from the Big 12, and then Notre Dame and Cincinnati. Okay, your possible conflicts are this. We've got 6 teams out there that would have a complaint, a concern, a gripe, an argument. They would be Pitt, the ACC champion, at 11-2. They would have the biggest gripe, of course, because they're 11-2 and they've got a conference championship, something that Ole Miss does not have at 10-2 without a conference title. Then you also have Oklahoma at 10-2, matching Ole Miss's 10-2 record. You also have a situation where Oklahoma State in particular at 11-2, but also Iowa, Wake Forest, and Utah all at 10-3. And basically, Iowa and Wake Forest arrived at 10-3 because they were forced to play a conference championship game, and it hurt their record. So you've got 6 other teams that would have an argument against Ole Miss and Ohio State to be entered into the playoff. But based on the committee's rankings, that would be the 8 teams, and your matchups for the first round would be 1 versus 8 and so forth. Alabama, Ole Miss, the 2-7 games, Michigan, Baylor. Georgia, Ohio State, what a matchup that would be, and Cincinnati and Notre Dame with the rematch as the 4-5 game. All right, on to an 8-team playoff in which the 5 conference champions would be guaranteed a berth, along with the top group of 5 champion, and then also 2 wild cards that would be selected based on record first and foremost. Here we go. Your top 4 now becomes Alabama, Michigan, Baylor is a conference champion, Pitt is a conference champion out of the Power 5 at 11-2. Then Utah, if we're going to seed them based on Power 5 conference championships. Utah at number 5, Cincinnati at 6 as the best of the group of 5 champions. Notre Dame at 7. Then we've got a logjam at 8. Most people, I believe, would consider, based on the metrics, the results, and everything else, that Ohio State would get the selection as the wild card at number 8, along with Notre Dame at 7. The Irish, of course, with a better record. Then Ohio State with the logjam at 10-2. The same record as Michigan State, 10-2, but the Buckeyes annihilated the Spartans head-to-head. Iowa at 10-3 with a Big Ten championship loss. Ole Miss also at 10-2. Oklahoma 10-2, Oklahoma State at 11-2, playing in a conference championship game. Oregon and Wake Forest both at 10-3. But you would, again, have to consider that this would come down to an Ohio State-Ole Miss situation with the Buckeyes winning out in that second wild card position. I came up with 3 basic ways you could seed the 1 through 8. You could either go Power 5 conference champions first, then the group of 5 champion, then the wild cards. Or you could do it by record. So let's say a Georgia in particular is a 12-1 SEC championship game loser would still have a higher seed than a number of conference champions. Or you could just automatically put the group of 5 team last as playing a lower level schedule and put the group of 5 last automatically. But I'm going to stay with the conference champions out of the Power 5 first, then go with the group of 5 champion, then the wild cards in 7 and 8. Look at this first round matchup here. The 1-8 game is Alabama, Ohio State. Nice. 2-7, Michigan, Notre Dame. Excellent matchup. Baylor, Cincinnati, the 3-6, and then the 4-5 is Pitt and Utah. This past summer, a subcommittee was put together, and they released their 12-team college football playoff proposal, which honors 4 champions as being the top 4 seeds, and those 4 teams receiving a bye, and then the conference champions all receiving automatic entry into the college football playoff, and then the rest of the teams selected by the committee. And applied to the 2021 season, it would look like this. So keep in mind, this is with the 6 highest ranked conference champions. And then there was a counter proposal by the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12, kind of to basically protect the Pac-12, because this is basically never going to be applied. But just in case, that instead of the 6 highest ranked champions, it would be all Power 5 champions and then the highest ranked Group of 5 champion. So it comes out the same, and I would have to go back years and years and years and don't know when it would make a difference. But with the weakness of the Pac-12 in recent years, it could. So in a 12-team proposal, this is what it looks like, with all the Power 5 champions seeded the highest, and of course the top 4 get the byes. They would be Alabama, Michigan, Cincinnati, and Baylor, with the first-round byes as the 1 through 4 seeds. Georgia comes in at number 5, Notre Dame 6. Then we've got Ohio State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma State, Michigan State at 10, Utah 11, and Pitt 12. So with the top 4 receiving byes, your first round looks like this. Georgia, Pitt in the 5-12 game. The winner would take on Baylor. Unless the teams are reseeded, the 5-12 winner takes on the 4 seed. Then you've got Notre Dame taking on Utah as the 6-11 matchup, and the winner takes on Cincinnati. So you could have a possible Notre Dame-Cincinnati rematch. Ohio State and Michigan State rematch their game from Columbus in November, and the winner takes on Michigan. So there we've got quite the threesome there with Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan. And then finally, Ole Miss and Oklahoma State is the 8-9 game. The winner takes on Alabama, and of course the Rebels took on Bama and was squashed this season. On to a 16-team playoff, and there are 2 basic ways to do this. So again, there are dozens of ways that an 8-team, a 12-team, a 16-team playoff format could be put together, but I'm proposing and I'm setting forth the most basic differences, and I will do the same with the 16-team playoff. We could do it one of 2 ways, basically. First way would be just to take the College Football Playoff Selection Committee's rankings 1 through 16. There you go. Or we would include all the conference champions. When I say all, I'm not just meaning the Power 5 conference champions. I'm meaning all 10 FBS conference champions. And then the rest are wild cards based on record. And a system that I put together and released last off season, and produced a number of videos, and we will address again this off season. So let's look at the first 16 in the playoff rankings to see how that would stack up as a playoff here in 2021. Again, we know what the top 4 is: Bama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati, and then beyond that, Notre Dame makes the playoffs. Ohio State at 6, Baylor at 7, Ole Miss at 8. And then your back half of those 8 go to Oklahoma State, Michigan State, Utah, Pitt, BYU. This, of course, before the bowl games, and BYU lost to UAB in a bowl game. Oregon at 14, Iowa 15, Oklahoma at 16. Really, your only discrepancies here or arguments outside the top 16 would be Wake Forest. They were 10-2 in the regular season. They dropped to 10-3 because they played a championship game against Pitt in the ACC. Otherwise, they've got a better record than a number of the teams that are in the top 16. And then, again, the consideration for the group of 5. Where do we go there? Well, Cincinnati's included as a group of 5 champion. But past that, you've got a number of 1- and 2-loss teams in the group of 5, like Louisiana, 1 loss, like Texas San Antonio, like Houston, who lost the conference championship game in the American Conference, that could be considered, but that's the top 16 according to the playoff rankings. Alabama, Oklahoma in the first round is a 1-16 game. Michigan, Iowa, just saw that in the Big Ten championship game. I don't know that a lot of people would be excited to see that, but that would be the 2-15 game if we just took the playoff rankings. Then again, we would have to wonder if the playoff committee would manipulate the rankings just a bit to avoid rematches. Georgia, Oregon, They play in the first game of 2022, but they would play with higher stakes here in the 3-14 game. Cincinnati, BYU. Notre Dame and Pitt is the 5-12 matchup. Ohio State, Utah, playing in the Rose Bowl, of course. Baylor, Michigan State, a rematch of the 2014 Cotton Bowl. And then we've got Ole Miss taking on Oklahoma State. That's been a familiar matchup as the 8-9 game. Now let's go to the other 16-team format, which is out-of-the-box type thinking. This is considering the group of 5 and giving them a serious place at the table based on winning and earning conference championships. Okay, so this is one way to look at it. And in no way would I say that this is going to produce a playoff with the 16 best teams in the country. It's going to produce a playoff, let's be honest, with the 11 best teams in the country. So if you're a Power 5 champion, or you take one of those 6 wild card spots as playing in the Power 5 as one of the top teams, Georgia, Ohio State, etc., and earn it that way, then those are the best teams in the country as well. The Sun Belt champion, the MAC champion, the Mountain West champion, they are not among the 16 best teams in the country. I think we're all aware of that. Where are they? The 25th best team in the country, the 40th best team in the country, the 60th best team in the country when it comes to the MAC and the Sun Belt. In particular, Conference USA as well. Could make it fun. For some of you, you're not going to like this because it's, again, not the 16 best teams in the country. It's based on earning a position on conference championships and then awarding slots to the best of the Power 5 that did not win a conference. Here we go. So your top 4 actually goes Alabama, Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame at 11-1 as we go by record seedings. Baylor at 5, Pitt at 6, Utah at 7, getting in all the conference champions first out of the Power 5. Ohio State at 8, Ole Miss at 9, Oklahoma State at 10, Michigan State at 11, BYU at 12. They earn it as an at-large wild card. Then here come our conference champions from the group of 5. Louisiana, Texas San Antonio, Utah State, and Northern Illinois. So it produces these matchups. Are we going to see some blowouts? Probably. You know what? Not probably. Guaranteed. But this is earning your way into a playoff. Your 1-16 matchups. Bama, Northern Illinois. Your 2-15 is Michigan, Utah State. Cincinnati, Texas San Antonio. Notre Dame, Louisiana. Could be an interesting matchup there. Baylor, BYU played this regular season. Baylor won it by 2 touchdowns. The 6-11 matchup is Pitt, Michigan State. Maybe Kenny Pickett and Kenneth Walker III play in this game. Utah, Oklahoma State. Nice little 7-10 matchup. And Ohio State and Ole Miss. Tremendous 8-9 game. Let's say chalk prevails and we get all the top seeds winning. These would be the second round games. You would have Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Utah, Cincinnati, Pitt, Notre Dame, Baylor as your second round matchup. So once again, we've got the 4-team playoff this year. And then we've got these proposals for a couple different type of 8 teams, 12 teams, 16-team playoffs. There it is. What do you like? What would you tweak? What would you change? What would you do differently? This offseason, we will dive into this further. I will present again my scheduling format, which really should be the first step in all of this because you produce the most accurate playoff entries when you have the fairest, most equitable scheduling. Scheduling is a huge factor in college football, more so than any other sport on the American sports scene. So we will dive deeper into it during the offseason, but here we go with the 4-team, the 8-team, the 12, and the 16. Please, discussion, debate, and analysis right here. Let people know that we are here talking college football with you every day. Smash that like button. Subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football and to your favorite team channel as well. We will see you next time.